I've seen football for so long, and yet I've never seen what's happening at Real Madrid, like ever, like in football or in any club. Whatever's going on at Real Madrid is has to be one of the funniest things anybody has ever seen. Firstly, to like start with, everybody knows that Valverde and Chouamini, that fight, the WWE thing, and Valverde went to the hospital. Rudiger and Carreras also apparently punched each other, and all that happened. Not to mention, everybody keeps blaming dictator Mbappe for this, but I don't think he's even remotely possible for whatever's going on, especially with context to like all this fighting and everything. And it's also funny how the moment Mbappe entered Real Madrid, 2 years PSG win the Champions League back to back, and in those 2 years, the Real Madrid goes trophyless. So it's not Mbappe's fault. He is coming up with all the goals, the assists, but outside of all of the football, whatever is happening at Real Madrid has to be one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Florentino Perez calls the elections, and he apparently signed off Jose Mourinho. And Jose Mourinho makes sense. People will, I myself will call him washed in many senses. Like, yeah, is he good enough in 2026 anymore? But you need a figure like Jose Mourinho to like control that locker room, because people like Xabi Alonso and Nagelsmann, they might not get a tune out of all of these players, but Jose Mourinho might have the balls to like bench a star player if that person's like misbehaving. And then after Jose Mourinho comes the Dumfries signing. Many fans are confused, why do that if they have Trent? But you have to realize that Trent isn't even like operating properly. He's half the time injured. So Dumfries not bad, but people are like, that's 30 years old, but at the end of the day, that's just 20 million. And then who's the other person they just recently, all right, Konate is, that's what they always do. It's Real Madrid. They always flirt with these players like a year back. And then especially those players that are running out of a contract, and then they'll just sign them up for free. Real Madrid's business really is something so special. We're Real Madrid and the players just join for free, even though they have no revenue issues whatsoever. And then comes the election phase where this person, the person against Perez, Enrique Riquelme, publicly name-dropping Rodri, Haaland, and Man City are already on it. They're already pursuing this legally. You can't just drop names like this that he's already signed up, we've already made contact. But this person, Enrique Riquelme, I doubt this guy has any chance of beating Perez, because this is the Papa Perez we're talking about, and I'd have Perez in a heartbeat. I don't like the guy, but you can tell that he loves Real Madrid. He really does. Like, he'll go to any lengths to like make sure Real Madrid succeeds. This is coming from someone where Todd Boehly runs the club. So having a president like Papa Perez, who is so devoted to his work, so passionate, but God knows how this guy is actually still operating in the highest level. This guy basically created the Super League. And if this was any other person, confirmed there would be a fine, some lawsuits behind bars, or nowhere near football. But only because it's Perez, he can do these things where he can challenge UEFA, he can challenge all these organizations, he can come up with his own league, and he can say the most funniest things in press conferences. The recent press conference he had, where it was so long and he was taking shots at the media. He praised some journalist, some female who was apparently really good looking. But yeah, this Real Madrid situation is pretty comedic. But if you're a Real Madrid fan, you gotta wonder what they're thinking about how Barcelona is always beating them. Will they challenge for the La Liga under Jose Mourinho? So yeah. You can also see like the efforts from this Riquelme guy, from Perez, like how they're trying to sway the votes. Perez already signed off on those signings. Jose Mourinho, the elections is why it's not getting announced. But this Riquelme guy, he's so adamant and he's trying all these things like Haaland, Rodri. And just recently, he even announced that if he wins, he will bring in Klopp. And God only knows how these people are making these announcements. Are they even talking to Klopp? Are they even talking to Haaland and Rodri? I mean, supposedly this Riquelme guy is, but just to sway the votes in their favor, Perez and this Riquelme, they're trying to like do all these things. And yeah, it's overall such a funny situation at Real Madrid. They're pulling in all the players, the managers, and they're doing these ridiculous press conferences. And Perez announced that he wants to sign this Galactico signing on the level of Ronaldo and Kaká, and apparently that turns out to be Michael Olise. But thank God it's not Enzo Fernandez. Some people might laugh, but as a Chelsea fan, we need this guy nowhere near Real Madrid, because the moment Real Madrid bid for Enzo, he's gonna go. So yeah, this situation at Real Madrid has to be one of the funniest things going on in football.